flat line on the biomonitor. Is someone dead? Someone better not be dead, Xander.
There has been an accident, Mr. Krukersberg. A malfunction in the system. The situation is under control. I'm trying to get us back online.
Online? What do you mean, online?
The facility is cut off. I can't get any signals from outside. No LifeNet, no cell, nothing. We're on our own. For everyone's safety, remain where you are.
Magrunner Dark Pulse is a first-person puzzler with two differences. The first difference is that it's a AAA quality title with an RRP of $14.99, and the second difference is that the story is intertwined with Lovecraftian horrors, delivering a Portal meets Penumbra experience that really doesn't exist anywhere other than in the minds of Frogwares and 3AM Games. Horror and first-person puzzles are nothing new on their own, but blending them together offers a consistent, albeit at times a little too uniform puzzler experience that'll have you slapping your own face as the sound of wet flippers approaches and you're desperately trying to solve the conundrum before you're beaten to death by a fish man. Now, I'll admit I'm not an expert on Lovecraft, but I do know Penumbra, which spiritually became the infamous Amnesia. Fans of both Portal and Penumbra, or Amnesia, then listen close, because Magrunner Dark Pulse wants to both scare and puzzle you to death, and it does come close to achieving both.
How is Xander doing this?
There's no known technology capable.
The only portals that do exist in Magrunner, however, are the ones tossing you around space, as you, Dax Ward, try to find yourself, aided by your mutant foster carer, Gamaji. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little. Magrunner Dark Pulse is set in a connected universe, one that serves as a sort of satire of our own, where people are happy giving away freedom for the comfort and easeability of constant connectivity. The game's corporation, the Krukersberg Corporation, learns of a new power, magnetic energy, and harnessing this energy begins a connected live event in the form of a competition, which comprises of set puzzles that 7 publicly chosen athletes must compete in. The talented astronauts find out quite quickly, however, that the competition itself is a front for something much darker. And this is where it all gets a little bit Dead Space, without spoiling too much: cultists, aliens, and crazy. But that's enough about the story for now. What about the mechanics? Well, Magrunner centers around the notion of positive and negative magnetic reactions, cause and effect. Your Maglove is able to magnetize certain objects with a positive or negative force. This allows objects to interact with each other, either projecting them away from something or each other, or pulling things towards you. For the earlier parts of the game, the story follows a Portal-style dynamic, with you having to work out room after room of puzzles, but just as you get used to the mechanics and grow able to predict how to solve the puzzles easily, everything goes a little bit Portal 2. The station, the competition you're housed in, starts to fall apart, and it becomes Dax's job to figure out why, and to try and stop it. The puzzles themselves are time-consuming and tricky, but they're not unfair. There's always a risk in these games that instead of giving you the mechanics and the rule set, the developer is trying to outsmart you, trying to make you think laterally. This isn't really the case here. These puzzles are fair and logical, and so long as you master the central mechanic, there are really no surprises in the puzzles, for better or for worse. From my perspective, there's nothing worse than being stuck in a puzzle simply because the developer hid something somewhere. That's not a puzzle, that's hide and seek. Thankfully, there's not much of that here, and the puzzles are consistent whether in space, the corridors, or the test chambers. Because of this, Magrunner is a competent puzzler regardless of whether or not you enjoy the theme, which really only shows its true colours towards the end of the game.
From Media. Can you give us a few thoughts?
Whilst the puzzling itself is competent and intelligent, the narrative seems to go a little wacky. For some reason, at the start at least, all of the characters have it out for Dax, apparently because he has no corporate funding. Reporters are openly rude to him, and the game's technicians laugh at his ability to complete the competition. These slightly odd elements get even odder when some of the characters begin to show their true light. I'm not sure if it's the dialogue or the voice acting, which can be a little dry at times, with the exception of Gamaji, who is voiced excellently. But there's an inherent madness to everything, several layers of crazy, some intended and some I suspect not.
Same chances.
That said, Magrunner's story progresses well, and as the chambers fall apart and the genuine horror elements begin to show themselves, the game differentiates itself from its light-hearted Portal counterpart. There is death, blood, and a little gore in Magrunner, and that helps to give a sense of urgency to the narrative. There are awesome elements to the game, such as the character design and oranges grown around the chambers and harvested by machines. Gamaji is a great character too, and the Sherlock Holmes mug reference, as a nod to Frogwares' other projects, goes to show their sense of humour. I suspect a slight problem with the game for some of you though, since if you're looking for a chamber-style puzzler through and through, you're completely out of luck. The chamber system merely references other games, and it quickly fades away into the Lovecraftian. In the Lovecraftian world, I find myself a little perplexed that the same puzzling system still abides. The same layouts, mechanics and systems, and no new ones. This could annoy some of you who expect puzzlers to mix things up a little, but other than the penumbra elements, when you have to solve the puzzles before you die, there's nothing more than a few gimmicky uses of the magnets as you're escaping enemies, or creating orbits for platforms. And that, in a nutshell, is Magrunner, Lovecraftian horrors, cubes, beams and platforms. There's enough content here to merit the $14.99 price tag, and the game will run you back around 10 hours or so if you're competent at puzzle games. This is a sort of casual puzzler, partly showing enjoyment with its narrative. It's not there to test your mind so much as your will and sense of humour and ability to think on your feet. It's firm but fair, and it's certainly one of the best Portal-style puzzlers on the market. It might not offer anything new to the genre, but within itself it is a real gem.